Colin O'Brien with the Mid-Continent Railway Museum. We're here with Chicago Northwestern 1385, and we're going to tell you how to take your locomotive project and make it classy.
I'm Jeff Haertlein, and we're going to talk about these class lamps that I have here. This is an old Chicago Northwestern round top ad lake class lamp. And this locomotive would have, this lamp would be on the left-hand side in this case. And there's little flippers here to change the aspect of the light in the lamp itself. And we'll show you that in a minute. This lamp has been electrified rather than a kerosene, and inside you'll see the flippers with the roundels that will change color aspect of the lamp itself. So we'll open it up and then I'll show you the inside. These are what they call the roundels, and this is how the color aspect gets changed. And now the red roundel is in front of the electric bulb, and it's in front of the lens, so therefore it's going to show a red aspect, and that's also the green aspect.
So just like Jeff said, these are class lamps, and this particular style of class lamp is a class lamp that would have been found on the 1385 when it was originally built in 1907. This lamp is a kerosene lamp, therefore everything would have been done with kerosene as far as lighting up. The lamp down below is the lamp style that we currently have on the locomotive, representing later on in its life when it would have been electrified. Now what's interesting about these class lamps is that they're not just for show. Even though they're absolutely gorgeous, they actually have a purpose and a function. And in order to tell or show on the locomotive what class of a train you had, or to designate different things, the actual colors of the lenses would tell you what's going on with this particular train. So if the locomotive was displaying a white lit lens, that would indicate that the locomotive was part of an extra train, a train that was not on the timetable schedule. If the locomotive was displaying green lit lenses, that would indicate that the locomotive was part of a second section. And it was actually the first section, or one of the first sections in a second section, indicating that there were other trains on the schedule following it that were part of that same timetable scheduled train. If the locomotive was actually identifying as the rear of the train, that's when you would use the red lit lenses, and that would indicate that that was the end of the train, marking the train being the end. A slightly different style of lamp, but sometimes misidentified as a class lamp, we have this here, which is a marker lamp. And a marker lamp is different in that it would have been used at the end of the train to signify the end of the train and mark the rear of the train. So what's different about a marker lamp is that the lenses themselves actually have a color already specified, and if you want to mark the end of the train, since we use red to the rear of the train, you would actually just move the lamp, and you would change in the bracket, and you would index the lamp so you have red to the rear. Besides lamps, we also have lanterns. Now, this is a lantern, which sometimes people misidentify as a lamp. These terms are not used interchangeably. This is a lamp and this is a lantern. And lanterns, unlike markers and class lamps, are something that the train crews would actually carry with them. So while these would act as fixed signals being identified and marked on the train, the lantern was used by the crew and would be carried around. So this would be an example of something that the train crew on 1385 might have carried with them up in the locomotive cab, and they might have used that to signal other members of the crew or just light up things in order to be able to see them.
So this is the fount for the marker lamp, and this is where we put the fuel in, kerosene. This is your wick raiser right here that adjusts the wick, and One thing that a person wants to do if you're actually using these is to retract the wick so that it goes down into the tube and kind of keeps the formation of the wick to stay the way it should. The lamp with the fount has little keepers that hold the fount in place. There's a lock that goes down and holds the wick razor, and then all you have to do is light the lamp. If you're actually going to put a brand new wick in something like this, the easiest way to do it seems to be to lubricate the wick with your kerosene and then bring it up through the wick tube, because the whole thing will work better because it's lubricated. And then of course you can light the lamp, light the burner. The other thing that's interesting about this lamp is that the flame is yellow. And so the yellow, when it goes through the aqua-colored lens, it actually shows green. So that's something that people also don't quite realize. If you had an electric bulb in here, this would show that kind of a bluish color, would not show green as we know it. But it all has to do with the yellow flame of the burner that transforms that color to green.
So here on the tender of the locomotive, the 1385 actually has a set of cannonball style marker lamps. So remember, like we talked about in the front of the locomotive, there's class lamps at the front, and these are the tender marker lamps, which would be at the tender location. Now, just like I said about marker lamps, we can indicate by rotating or indexing the lamp, and that communicates a position of whether or not this is marking the end of the train, or if whether we're just marking that this locomotive is clear in the siding. So if we were to have a green lens lit to the rear, that would be an indication to other train crews and to people in the yards, for example, or on the railroad, that this locomotive was in the clear. But if we wanted to mark this as being the end of our train, let's say we were doing a light engine movement, what we would do is we would grab the little plunger here, we would rotate, and we would actually index the lamp into the red to the rear position. And this, if it was actually lit, would indicate that we were red to the rear, and this would be the end of our train.
So that concludes our video on marker lamps and hand lanterns and such. And at that point in time, you'll notice that we actually do have some of these items for sale in the gift shop from time to time. The marker lamp here and a rare switch stand lamp. So consider the gift shop if you're interested in any of these artifacts.